Hello world, welcome back once again to the Unchristian Podcast. It's Ndumiso Mazibuko here, the host of the Unchristian Podcast, and thank you so much for joining us and being with us. If you're here for the very first time, please subscribe to the channel. Please click on the notification bell. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and all those audio platforms, please leave us a review, leave us a comment, share that link. It helps this platform to grow and make a greater impact in society as we wish. Today we've got another amazing episode as always. You know how we do on the Unchristian Podcast, and I'm so chuffed. I'm so stoked to have our guest that we are having today. Now, let me ask you a question out there. Do you have an academic or an intellectual crush? like somebody in your field whose thoughts and work you just love. You love their work. You study them, you follow them. And let me ask you a question. Have you met them? Well, today I've got a list. So I've got an academic stamp going on.
This is definitely unchristian.
Definitely, ne?
Definitely.
So in the marketing and branding space, I listen and read and follow Seth Godin. Vusi Tembegoy has influenced me. Number two, who's the third guy? Gary V.
Yeah.
There's an author, Kotler. He's big on Kotler or Kettler. He's big on that. And number 5, ladies and gentlemen, Miss Lebo Lion. Make some noise.
Wow!
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, Ndumiso.
You good?
Well, I mean, after that introduction,
Come
I didn't know I was an
on, no.
intellectual crush. What? And I'm in a tembu. So I mean, this is definitely
Excuse.
unchristian. Imagine.
News to you.
News to me. And it's also cool
Yeah.
that I'm the only lady on that list, right?
Awesome.
And I'm not saying that because it's nice to be the only woman.
Sure.
But I don't think we've had female voices
That's it.
in these intellectual thought leadership spaces
yes.
who get to occupy the same space as the men.
Yeah, man.
And it's important for us to start getting
Exactly.
So I'm really honored that you put me on that
Yeah,
list
of
with
course.
people who I also admire.
Yes.
So
yes,
wow,
yes.
what an honor. Thank you for
Awesome.
having me.
You've been at it for a little over 6 years or something like that?
Online, yes, but offline since varsity.
Yeah.
So that's more than 10 years.
Yeah, and I want to get
Yeah.
into your entrepreneurial journey because you just left varsity and went straight into entrepreneurship.
I
and,
did.
no one does that.
Yeah.
People are asking about, experience, agency work first, this
Yeah.
and that. But we'll get into your thought processes and all of that.
Yeah.
How much of what you... let me start here. I'm going to do what you do on your podcast.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
You're going to tell us about yourself. Tell us, who is Lebo Lion? And here's a quick question. Is your surname a secret?
I mean, not to everyone.
Right.
I'm not hiding it.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just amplifying Lebo Lion
Yes,
more than
of
I'm
course.
amplifying
I see.
my government name.
Of course, because
exactly.
Lion cannot be a surname.
Lion is a brand. But a lot of people actually think it's a surname,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is so funny. But
It's
no,
really dope.
it's my Sasha Fierce.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Someone said recently, I've got a Sasha Fierce and I need to brand him.
Yes.
Someone told me that recently.
Yes.
You've got an alter ego. You need to brand that.
Brand it. I believe in branding, and
Yes.
you know this, but we'll get into
Of course,
it.
of course. So what do you do?
Well, my name
Who are
is
you?
Lebo Lion, for everybody who doesn't know. Lebo Lion, like the animal Tau. And I am referred to as the voice of marketing. I do a lot of things, and I think most marketers do.
Yep.
That's the point of being a marketer. You're like an intellectual creative. So you get to dabble in many things.
Yep.
I'm a speaker, so corporates will book me to come and MC their events
Yes.
or to deliver keynotes or to train their teams. I'm an author, I have a book, and I'm also releasing some ebooks for my community and
Yeah.
some courses.
Yeah.
I also offer consultations for people who want to build their business or personal brands.
Yeah.
And it can be corporate or regular people or entrepreneurs. It doesn't really matter.
Sure.
I work with different kinds of people.
Sure.
I do a lot. What else do I do? Oh, I'm an influencer sometimes.
Come on now, yes.
So brands will say to me, can you
Yeah,
hold
yeah,
this thing
yeah.
and put on your page and we'll pay you?
Yeah.
So I do that too. And what's the last thing? So I said author, speaker, entrepreneur, influencer.
Yeah, I think you've hit it
and,
all, eh?
I think, that's what I do.
And a brand owner, not a brand owner, sorry, an agent, marketing agency owner.
Exactly, yeah.
You run
I
that.
think I just put it under entrepreneur. Like
course.
I own an agency, a marketing
Yes.
agency.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay. your thought process in saying, I just want to jump into entrepreneurship and I'm not going to go a normal route of maybe having 2 years of experience, internship here. You just said, I'm going to do it. But it also seems like the entrepreneurship bug bit you before graduation.
Yeah,
Now,
I mean, so this whole entrepreneurship thing, why didn't you work for corporate? Because I've never worked in corporate, right?
Right.
I've always just kind of like jumped. I've been in a few agencies maybe for a month, not for long, but I've never really worked and had a proper full-time job for a year, and I've never done that.
Sure.
I think for me, I grew up in an entrepreneurial household, right? So my dad was an entrepreneur, my aunt was, everyone were entrepreneurs,
Nice.
essentially.
Nice.
And so when we were young, during school holidays, we'd go work at the different family businesses,
Right.
whether it was a spaza shop or the garage or whatever.
Nice.
You were never just chilling. And if you
Nice.
wanted to chill, then you had to read a book. My dad
Do
was,
something.
yeah, do something. You had to
Right.
do something because my dad's going to ask you at the end of the day,
Yes.
what did you learn?
Hey,
What did you do?
hey.
So for me, that's how I grew up, and because of that, I've always been working.
Awesome.
And I've had that experience of working. And what working does for you as a child is it forces you to figure out what you like to do and what you're good at. And I think that we're naturally born with the things we're good at.
That's right. That's
Right? And the environments we're in either conscientize us to what we're good at,
Yeah.
or they distract us from figuring
you.
out who we are. So for me, it made me conscious of my skills.
Yes.
Couple that with high school. I mean, in high school, and the reason why I'm Lebo Lion, there's a whole story why I named myself Lebo Lion.
Okay.
But in high school and in junior school, I was in the trophy public speaking team.
Right.
So that means when you're in the trophy team, you are. So it happens in matric. Why am I giving my story in such a disjointed way? But basically, from grade 7 all the way to matric, I used to compete in public
Okay,
speaking,
right.
right? And when you compete with other schools, other kids from other schools.
Yeah,
Usually
yeah.
in a team, it'll be the top speakers in the grade.
Yeah.
They will compete with the top speakers in other grades
Get
in
you.
other schools.
Get you.
So I did that until matric, and then in matric, I got into the trophy team. So the trophy team are the top 3 speakers in each school in South Africa.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
it's not a school thing. It's
a whole
All
thing.
right,
Like
all right, I
each
see you.
school has to have a trophy team.
Right.
And the trophy team will be matriculants, the top 3 speakers in the school. Then they go and compete with the top 3 speakers in the rest of the country. Then we go overseas. So I was that girl. I was in the
Right.
trophy team.
You're the
We went
speaking girl.
overseas.
Yeah.
Exactly. So when
Yeah.
people see me speaking, they're like, I can become a speaker. No, I've been doing this for
Hey, you don't just
since
jump
I was
into this.
13.
Yeah.
Almost 20 years.
13.
20 years now, because
Yeah.
I'm 32.
Yeah.
So almost 20 years of
My
speaking.
goodness.
Do you get what I'm saying? It's not like we
Yeah.
just wake up and we can just talk,
Exactly.
or we're great and we can just share concepts. I've been doing this thing for almost 20
Yeah,
years. I didn't even
yeah.
realize it was almost 20
Yeah,
years.
yeah.
So in doing all of those things, I got to learn myself. What do I like to do? What am I good at? What are the
good.
things that I can invest in myself?
Good.
So by the time I got to varsity, it honestly felt like an unnecessary thing for me to do. I was like, why am I here? I need to go out there and make money and
Yes,
build things.
yes,
Why am
yes.
I doing
Yeah,
this?
plans.
This seems unnecessary to me.
Yeah.
I've had a great education. I think private schooling education is almost the same quality as getting a university
Yeah,
degree,
yeah.
because you're equipped with everything.
Sure,
You know,
sure.
I know there's nothing I can't do
Yeah.
because of my private schooling education that I had since the age of 6.
Sure.
So when you get to varsity, it almost feels a little bit boring if you're doing something that you've even had experience doing. Because
Right.
I have experience in entrepreneurship.
Right.
I have experience doing marketing because I did
Right.
for my family businesses.
Sure.
So for me, I was like, why am I here? You know? And there's a lot of value in university, especially if you don't come from a background that is privileged. By privilege, I mean having a good education or parents who support you or whatever. Then university is definitely a yes.
Okay.
Also from a networking perspective. But I think there's a lot to be said about allowing people to test what they can do in the market without the pressure of having a qualification to justify their skills. Because I don't think qualifications justify what you're good at or qualify what you're good at. I think it's like a passport.
Sure.
It's that piece of paper you need to
Sure.
get into a space,
Yeah.
but it doesn't really mean that much.
Sure.
You know, because you get very educated people who don't add value, but they'll wave their degree around. I've got a degree, so I deserve a promotion. I've got a degree. It's like, no, you don't. What can you do?
Yeah.
Too many people care about getting an education over educating themselves.
Yes.
And I wish more people educated themselves. And this looks like having a life, having hobbies.
Yeah.
So you can learn
Yeah,
different
experiences.
things. Experiences.
Yeah.
That's all I mean.
Yeah.
And I think the reason why I've been able to do entrepreneurship from such a young age is because I love experiences. I crave learning
Sure.
in different ways. And so people think I'm an intellect and an academic. I'm like, I'm not really.
Yeah.
I'm just somebody who talks about what she knows from experience.
Sure.
And when I don't know, I don't pretend to know. I don't think there's any value in pretending to know about things you don't know.
Sure.
So I started entrepreneurship from a very young age in the family businesses. And then at varsity, I was like, oh my gosh, I've got a chance to play even more. So I sold t-shirts during a week. I was like volunteering for anything where people were making money and I could add. I would do it, whether I was a girl at the door, at the club.
Come on now.
Anything.
Yes.
I was like, I need to get to know
you
whoever.
used to be a host.
I used to be a host. Whatever it was, because I didn't have an ego about what I was doing. For me, it was a case of I'm getting to meet people. I'm getting to learn how to sell.
Yeah.
I'm getting to learn industries I don't know.
Yeah.
And I'm getting to build networks I don't
That's
have.
important, yeah.
So whether you guys want me to literally be giving tickets at the door or stamping things or folding things or cleaning up, I would literally sign up and do those things just so I could be in the room to see what people are doing. And that's another thing where people believe that they see this and they think, oh, glamour, so everything it must be simple and fun. It's like, no, a lot of the work I do is grungy work. It's just that I'm prepared to do it because I know where I'm trying to go with the thing. So that's where entrepreneurship started for me, and I've been doing it ever since.
Do you think you found your purpose? And what does that mean to you, purpose?
One of my idols
Yeah.
is Maya Angelou. And she speaks a lot on purpose, right? And she says, there's no way you can know what your purpose is meant to be until you die.
What?
Because she says that purpose is defined by the lives you touch.
Yes, I can agree.
Not necessarily by what you decide to do. So only towards the end of your life can you say, this was my purpose on earth. Because you get to see what you have done. How you do what you need to do isn't purpose. It's just the means to having purpose.
Get you.
And so I don't know what my purpose is.
Wow.
But I hope that in everything I'm doing, I am living in that thing. So when I look back, hopefully I'll get to grow old. When I look back, I'll be able to say, oh, so that was my purpose, God. That's what you were using me for.
Interesting view on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always saw purpose as something that we have to be intentional about. I have to know what it is and I have to pursue it intentionally every day and ask myself every week, every month, what am I doing to fulfill my purpose or get closer to that place? But interesting that we only really understand purpose, understand what purpose is even towards the end of our lives. That's something for me to think about.
Look, I used to think of purpose the way you think of it until I listened to Maya Angelou talk about it. And then I looked at my life and I've done a lot of things. Like even online, for me to get to Lebo Lion, I was many things.
Of course.
I was the big mouth blogger. I was the full cream figure something. I was Mr. Avocado Daddy. Guys, I went through metamorphoses with my brand online. I didn't just become Lebo Lion. Lebo Lion was an evolution of other people and other things. And other people who did other things to serve the online community. So I used to do like food blogging and fashion blogging and all these things. And Lebo Lion is the one that actually stuck. But it was also a culmination of everything I learned from doing those other things. So I didn't know that or what I'm doing now, I didn't know I'd be doing it. I thought I'd probably just be running an agency, then maybe I'll be like a fashion influencer. That's what I thought, right? But it didn't happen that way, and that wasn't out of my own will. It was just out of a process of me going, but this fashion thing is not working for me. Let me try something new. This thing's not working. Let me keep trying. And then I tried tweeting about marketing and it started to work for me. I didn't know why. It wasn't something I really wanted to do. I just did it. And so I feel like that definition of purpose that Maya Angelou has, it works for me because it shows me the journey I've had so far, where I didn't actually know why I was doing what I was doing, but I did it. And when it didn't work, I learned. And when it worked, I kept it going. And so I don't really know what my purpose is. Even now, I mean, I started with the marketing thing to become relevant, but now I'm really enjoying just showing people how to live. And I never thought I'd want to do that. But I'm enjoying that. I want to evolve over just doing marketing. Now I'm like, actually, no. I'm this person now. I'm not the person I was 6 years ago and Lebo Lion became a thing. So maybe the new generation won't even know that
Sure.
I started with marketing. They'll
Sure.
just know me as a culture and lifestyle
Exactly. Yeah.
thought leader. I don't know.
Yeah, because that was one of my next questions, to say how much of what you are doing has been intentional and how much of it has been by accident. Because sometimes we find, like you're saying, the right thing by accident, and it
Yes.
sticks, and you're like, oh yes, this is it. Yes,
This is it.
Yes.
And for me, it wasn't even oh, yes, this is it. I was like, really, God?
Okay. Out of
I was
all
like,
things,
of all the
of
things, I didn't ask for this one.
Yeah, yeah.
Why are you giving me this thing? I think I'm very stubborn in that way. So a lot of the things that I have
Yeah.
that have worked for me weren't necessarily things I was grateful to have.
Mm.
I learned to be grateful
I see.
because I saw the impact they had
Yeah,
when I
yeah.
would do them.
Yes,
But
ma'am.
it wasn't what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And so I've had to learn to humble myself to life
Sure.
and understand that this is not my design.
Yeah. Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is just, I need to be humble and listen to whatever, the message is, and run with that.
Sure,
And I really believe in using your intuition
Yeah.
and your instincts to build your life.
Big things. Big
So
things.
it's not necessarily that you are deciding what's happening, but you're listening.
Yes.
And when it
Yes.
says go left, you go left.
Yes,
When it
yes,
says go
yes,
right,
yes,
you go
yes.
right. You don't use your ego and
Yeah,
say,
yeah, yeah.
I'm going to do this, therefore it's going to happen.
Yeah.
I don't think we just become successful because we want to be.
Sure.
I think there's a greater cosmic balance to the entire thing.
I get you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So many times we hold on. We become loyal to previous seasons and versions of our lives.
Yes.
And we say, no, this is what I started to do. This is what I decided I'm going to be and do. And then we feel like we need to be loyal, because
Yes.
once you start wanting to make change, we are afraid of criticism, or even self-criticism of not knowing what you're doing. Why are you flip-flopping? Why are you changing?
Flip-flop. I hate that term.
Because
Yeah.
it kind of boxes you in to say, Ish, if I make a change, they're gonna say I'm confused, or I really don't know what I want.
Yeah.
Take me through the evolution of the Lebo Lion brand and work. Because you started your podcast as lessons with Lion,
yeah.
and now it's the Lebo Lion show.
It was the Lebo Lion podcast. And
there was something else between.
Exactly.
But what was happening with those evolutions, and what has changed mean to you?
So with podcasting, I actually started my whole digital footprint through podcasting. I was the first female African podcaster on the iTunes Top 100 charts.
Yeah.
And I was there for a while on my own.
Still marketing.
Yeah,
On
still marketing. I started everything with marketing.
Okay.
In fact, when I started with Lessons with Lion, it was literally like a textbook and a lecture put in one in every episode.
Right.
And the reason why I'd done that was because I had wanted to democratize access to information for entrepreneurs and students who couldn't access people like me at the fees that we come at, or who didn't have access to libraries or whatever, or just information that is relevant and practical.
Sure.
So I said, I'm going to start a podcast where I give people these tools, and with these tools, they're supposed to be able to build a business, build a brand, get clients, make money, learn how to sell. So season 1 is a masterclass.
Right.
If you listen to season 1, you should be able to get your business at least to level 4 in terms of the process of building it,
amazing.
right? And I have a lot of testimonials from people that send me emails. I got my first international client.
Wow.
We actually have a brand that's getting into different corporates because now it makes sense. All these things, they'd say that from the podcast.
Right.
And that's how the podcast became big. I wasn't clickbaiting anything. For me, it was I'm sure I've got a small community of people who listen to this thing because they need
your
it.
growth and your audience is organic. I love
It was
that about
organic,
it, yeah.
exactly. So it wasn't about impressing anybody. I was just like, I do a lot of, what are these programs called? What are they called? Incubation programs with corporates. So they'll ask me to come and teach entrepreneurs whatever they want me to teach them. And I thought, but this is so limited. There'll be like 50 people. Not everyone's going to make it onto the program.
Yeah.
So let me give the people who don't make it the information they need, because a lot of them actually have great ideas or great businesses, but it's just not clicking, So I said, let me do that. It's how I'm going to give back to the world. I didn't even think about money. I was just like, I'll just do this. Then I did it, and it became a thing. So I was also the first, I don't know if it's female or podcaster in SA who got corporates to to pay to be on the podcast. So I didn't know you could monetize your podcast in that way. I think it was from episode 3.
Sure.
I was doing that. I had publishers asking me to write books from episode 3 of my podcast.
Amazing.
So all these opportunities came. I didn't know
Sure,
they existed
sure.
for podcasting. And I didn't know South Africa had that kind of appetite for a podcast. And then I did that, but it can be very draining. You know, when you're
It's a lot.
giving, it's a lot. When you're giving real value,
Yeah, it's a
not
lot.
entertainment
Yes.
value, like real value to
You
people.
pour out of yourself.
Yes,
That's the, yeah.
you pour out,
Yeah.
and it's a lot, and you have to prepare, and
Ugh.
it doesn't just happen.
Yeah.
You know, so for me, I just got to a point where I said, I've done enough with this kind of podcasting
Sure,
style.
sure.
This will always be online. You can
Yeah.
always go and access
That's
it. It will
beautiful.
never go away.
Beautiful.
But I need to change now.
Yeah, yeah.
I want to have conversations with people. I want to understand other people's stories.
Yeah.
And I also want to have more fun doing the podcasting
Yes,
thing.
yes,
and that's how we got to the Lebo Lion podcast.
Yes.
Right? Because I know it was at the time when the pop culture podcast started to
Yes.
become more relevant
Yes, yes.
and vlogcasting started to
Yes,
become a thing.
yes, yes.
And everyone thought a vlogcast was a podcast. And I was like, okay, I need to evolve now. Let me do video, even though I wasn't really a fan of it.
Sure.
I started interviewing guests.
Sure.
And that's what corporates were also aligning with, because my podcast was making money, so I needed to keep the money coming in. So
yes.
I just pivoted,
Sure.
added video, invited guests, started to have a YouTube footprint. Not my favorite thing to do. I still believe in OG podcasting.
Yeah, is it?
I love audio.
that audio experience.
I love it. I
It
love
is
radio.
different, eh?
It's different.
Oh, it's different.
It's so different, and it feels like no one is performing for you
yes.
because you can't
Something
see
changed
anything.
when cameras went into the radio studio.
Yes.
Something changed.
Something changed. It's not the same.
Exactly.
I love radio. Even
Of
now, I
course.
would love to be on commercial radio
Yes.
and have my own radio show. That's how much I love audio.
Yeah.
And I love speaking and I
Yeah.
love the voice and I
Yeah.
like sound. So for me, it's camera is very performative, but sound is not. If I say something and all you can do is listen to me, you're going to hear what I'm saying.
Yes, yes.
You know, you have no choice.
And you can be wearing whatever you want to wear.
Exactly. I can do anything. And I love
Yeah.
audio. Even all my favorite podcasters like Mel Robbins, Diary of a CEO.
yes.
I listen to the audio. I
The
don't watch the
audio's
video.
part, yeah.
I don't watch the
Yeah,
video. I
yeah.
can't because then it just changes the experience
Yeah.
for me. So so that was the Lebo Lion podcast. And then I had to do a brand reevaluation, you know, and I thought to myself, what do I want Lebo Lion to be for the future?
Yeah.
Where tech is driving everything,
Sure.
where the audience is younger,
Yeah.
more vocal,
Yeah.
and because they know they have options, they switch. They're not loyal
Yeah.
to anyone
Oh,
or
man, listen,
anything.
listen.
They don't care. They're just gonna switch whenever. And then you've got an older audience who's coming online. They're
Yes.
onboarding, but they don't know how to use the
Yes,
space. So
yes.
they need a lot of education. So I said, where do I fit in all of this as my brand? What do I
Yeah.
want to offer people?
Yeah.
How do I want it to look?
Yeah.
Then we evolved to the Lebo Lion show,
Sure.
which is what I have now. So that is going to be less educational from a perspective of like business content and more holistic in terms of
Yeah.
covering all aspects of life.
Right.
Right. And
Right.
for me, that just makes sense for who I think Lebo Lion is going to be in the
Yes,
next 3 years.
Yes.
You know?
Also, it's a reflection of your own growth.
Yes.
As a person.
Yes.
But also as a brand.
Yes.
Not older, but the more mature and seasoned we get
Mm-hmm.
in whatever we're doing, we start seeing our role in life or understanding life differently.
Yes.
Then we like, listen, we pursue different and bigger goals.
Yes.
How do you feel about, this generation now who can just switch on a mic and they can just start talking? And now, you were talking about radio. Radio's got some kind of control and regulation. The older form of podcast was also really educational and had substance.
Substantial,
Yes,
yeah.
and real conversations. Now anyone with an iPhone and a mic can just pop up, just start talking. Is that good for us, or is that like my favorite?
You know, that's a very interesting question because we know that the media plays a big role in how society is shaped,
Yeah.
right? Social media,
Yeah.
operative word being media,
Yeah.
but most important word being social.
Yeah.
The fact that people can actually interact with the media that they're consuming.
Right.
So we're no longer in that age where you're just telling people what is happening
Yeah.
and they have to take it because you're a media.
Yeah.
Now people say, but wait a minute, why are you saying that? That the social element of it, to me, that's what gives social media value.
Sure.
As opposed to traditional media where they just kind of tell you,
Yeah.
this is what we're doing, these are the shows we're doing,
Yeah.
these are the hosts we're giving you.
Yeah.
We don't care what you want,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And that's changed the game. And because I'm somebody who believes in democratization of access to anything,
Yes.
I love that anyone can just pick up a phone and
Sure,
a mic
sure.
and record their
Yeah,
thoughts. I don't
yeah.
think there's anything wrong with that
Sure.
in principle, right? However,
Yes.
the problem is that we are in an era where, because everything is so accessible, we're not aware as people who might just come on today, have a mic and
Yeah.
a phone,
Yeah.
that anything you share on media platforms influences people.
Yeah.
And that your responsibility as a media platform
Yeah.
is to serve your community
That's right.
responsibly, right? Because what we say, what we do, it matters. People take it seriously and they change their lives because of it.
Yeah.
They decide how they're going to move through the world because of the content we're sharing. That can be good or bad. Traditional media has always been divisive. We know
Okay.
politics uses it as a tool
Yes.
to influence people to get their votes, etc.
Yes.
Corporates do the same when they're using media.
Yes.
So we could actually say that traditional media was more dangerous because there wasn't room for the consumer
I see.
to say, but why are you guys telling us this? But actually, that's
Yeah.
not the whole story.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like with traditional media, we were getting a singular story.
I see.
And it was the stories of the people who have the most money to invest. Now with social media, we're getting many stories.
Get you.
And the diversity of stories, I think, actually allows the world to be more democratic, be more, allow us to exercise our free will.
Yes.
Allow us to say, if I don't believe in this, maybe I can go here and hear
Sure,
something else
sure.
that I want to believe in. So I believe in that. I just feel that we also, as creators and people with voices and media platforms, we need to be more responsible
Yeah.
with how we share the information.
Sure.
I don't mind if you want to talk about sex. I don't mind if you want to talk about, you know, relationships, whatever. It doesn't matter what you want to talk
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
Even if you want to talk about how much you don't like women
Yeah,
or you don't like
yeah.
men, it's okay.
Yeah.
But there's a way to do it.
Okay.
And I think that this generation, the younger generation who are taking a mic and a phone, don't want to be held accountable
Yes.
for what they say.
Yes.
So they'll say, but I've got rights. This is my right. I
Sure.
get to say what I think.
Sure,
It's like,
sure.
yes,
Freedom of
you're
speech.
freedom of speech.
Yeah.
But you're allowed to have an opinion. You just can't have a toxic opinion because that's not okay.
Yeah.
I recently did an episode about cancel culture.
Yeah.
And some of my panelists were saying, but cancel culture is so bad. People just want to drag people down. And I said, but why are people upset about what somebody said?
Sure.
No one's just going to wake up to be upset about an opinion.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense.
Right.
We're people. We're used to being around other people. So if somebody gets to be offended by what you're saying, it's because what you're saying isn't okay.
Yeah.
The way you said it is infringing on somebody else's lived experience,
I see.
and that's not okay.
I see.
So we need more education in how we say things.
Yeah.
I don't think our society just generally is very good at communication. And the beauty of traditional media is they would find people who could speak.
Yes.
So because they know how to speak,
Yes.
they could actually talk about more things
Yeah.
without offending
Offending,
people
yeah.
in a way that's illegal
Yes.
or unconstitutional or whatever. So I find that nowadays, yes, people have platform,
Yeah.
but most people don't have voices. And on top of that, they don't really have something to say.
Yeah.
But because they understand how to grow a community,
Yeah.
they're gonna go and open their mouths and say something. It's
Yes.
like, but you don't need to do that.
Just-
you can just do something
Yes,
else. They
yes,
don't
yes.
want to, you know. And we're also in that social media is very tricky because the people who start things aren't the ones who benefit the most from it.
Yes.
So when I started this marketing thing, people in South Africa were not talking about marketing, right? But now there are other people who can just wake up today, do it, and
now
they
we can
can
jump
grow
on the
very
wave.
quickly. They're
Yeah.
jumping on the wave,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So you don't get to eat from the runway you create, which is fine. That's what you get from being a first in
Yes. A pioneer. Of
yeah, a
sorts,
pioneer of sorts. And what you find with social media and people who grow really quickly and they're called very influential, they're the ones who will copy the most. Their content will be something that has been done a million times
Yes.
by other people.
Yes.
So they're not even taking risks. They're
Yes.
just saying, I see this formula, it works.
It works, yeah.
I'm going to do it
Yeah.
the same way.
Yeah.
But because I want to grow even faster, I'll do it in a more controversial way.
Yes.
I'll use a bit more clickbait.
Yes.
And I'm really against clickbait. I think it's a terrible way to advertise anything. It's desperation, it's validation seeking, it's
Yeah.
all these toxic things.
yeah.
But toxic things grow very quickly.
They do.
So yeah, I don't have issues with people being able to share their voice. voices. It's important that we have different stories
Yeah.
that are out there
Yeah.
for people to see that they exist.
Yeah.
But I think the way you communicate your story is important.
Yeah, you did an episode recently where you were questioning the issue of male podcasters
Oh, yes.
and the toxicity of that, right? And it got me thinking about a wider problem that we do have. The fact that, and this is why yesterday we aired an episode for men, just a men's panel.
I saw
just
that you
talking
guys were all wearing suits.
Oh man, listen,
Dapper.
we had to. And we were really trying to interrogate ourselves as men, because something I said on the podcast is that we are responsible, unfortunately, for many of society's ills as the male species, right? And so then by extension, even in the podcasting world, there is that that you see. So I agreed with you on that. We're seeing a lot of funny stuff that shouldn't be happening on camera.
Yes. Or even in real life.
Yes, yes.
But when it happens on camera, we make it acceptable in real life.
Yeah, because it's creative license.
Yeah.
It's not right.
It's not right.
What, you do a lot of thinking and then work with women, right? What do you think as men we can do better? If you were to call us out, and women hate this question because they're like, why must we be the ones telling you? But I think there's space for us to listen.
Yes.
To say, listen, we want to listen. Let's hear your ideas as well as women about manhood. But what do you think we can do better to stop being the root or at the root of some societal ills like GBV, like toxic masculinity, and all these other things?
A lot of people, firstly, as a society, we have to agree that patriarchy exists.
It does.
And a lot of people don't believe that patriarchy exists.
exists.
And if they believe it exists, they don't actually know what patriarchy is. So I think,
All
firstly,
right.
as a
Talk
society,
to us. Educate us, please.
yeah, but really, as a society, we're not united in our perspective of what the world is,
yeah.
and that's going to cause a lot of division.
Right.
So if I'm sitting with a group of women and I say, guys, patriarchy exists, the other ones go, no. You just don't want to take care of your man. Do you understand that we already have a problem?
Two different
We're on
definitions and
definitions and understanding of
Yeah.
patriarchy. Or they'll say, when are you just Western? That's why you think patriarchy exists. All these funny things. So yes, men do have to change a lot of things, but I have to say also that women have to come together and agree that there's a problem. I don't think all of us think there is.
Oh, all right.
And so firstly, we have to come together as women and say, guys, there's a problem. What is this problem?
Okay.
And then how do we want the guys to fix it?
I thought the problem was so glaringly obvious.
To me, it is. And I think to men, it is too. You guys know.
We do know, yeah.
Because I think sometimes as women, we infantilize men.
Okay.
And we make it seem like men are these like helpless things. They don't know anything. Shame. He doesn't know he's not calling you.
Yeah.
Shame.
Oh, wow.
He doesn't know he's not texting you. Shame. He doesn't know that he's cheating. It's like, yes, he does. Men are intelligent human beings. They have brains. They have hearts.
We just play dumb.
You just play dumb because you know it will work. But men know what they're doing the same way women know what they're doing.
Sure.
Everybody knows what they're doing. You must be held accountable for your behavior because you chose your behavior. No one made you behave that way. So that's the problem, that in the female community, we're really divided about what we think the world is, what reality is.
So interesting.
And what we think men's roles in our reality is, right? So I come from the school of thought where, I grew up with a father who treated us like boys in the sense that he said, hey, you got to make things happen for yourself, but I'm here and I'll support you, right? Don't let people talk to you like this. Don't, whether it's a man or a woman, like I grew up like that.
Nice.
But in a lot of spaces where I'm just with women, they'll say, you think you're a man. No, I don't. I just respect myself and I'm willing to fight for myself.
Yes.
That doesn't mean I think I'm a man.
Yes.
That's got nothing to do with being a man or a woman. It's just being a person
Sure.
who respects themselves.
Sure.
So if I'm getting that kind of flack from women and then a man comes and says that, it's not going to be a problem.
So to jump in there, do you believe that to move effectively in whatever space a woman moves in and have a strong presence, she needs to embrace masculine energy?
Hey, this masculine energy,
And
feminine energy
femininity,
conversation. There's a lot to be said about energy in general,
right?
And I love how on your podcast you also speak to people who have different spiritual callings.
Yes.
So whether it's from the church, whether it's from our ancestors, whatever it may be, you speak to different people.
Yeah.
And depending on your calling, you're going to move through life differently. This is what I believe. And I come from a family with people who are also pastors and people are sangomas.
Really?
I've
Interesting.
seen, I have seen that.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm used to it. It's not something new. I see it. But what that has taught me is that you can't, as an average human being, tell another person how they're supposed to live through life because you don't know what their calling is.
Yes.
And your calling is going to dictate how you're going to move. If, let's say, I've got a spiritual calling, I'm supposed to become a sangoma, and my head person is a man, chances are I'm going to have more of that prominent energy and presence, even if I come across feminine. When you engage with me, you're going to feel like, why do I get this man energy from Lebo that I don't understand? You don't know who's standing with me. You know? So I feel that, yes, we can talk about masculine energy, feminine energy. And that for me is deeply rooted in a lot of Western concepts.
Right.
Because they don't really know spirituality.
They don't,
Right? But when you speak about spirituality and being African, and this is me from a very limited perspective because I'm not an expert in spirituality, but I do know quite a bit about it, is that I believe that you need to go into spaces and exist the way you feel you are energetically called to exist. You know, I know that there's spaces where I'm just, the fighting thing comes out and I do it and it works.
Yes.
But there's certain spaces where I'm completely soft and feminine and it works.
Sure.
But if I'm not fully in that energetically, I can't pretend to do it. I can't pretend to be quiet when I'm not energetically, when my spirit is saying, no. Here you fight.
Sure.
Then I fight. When it says here, it's war. I come through, I'm here. But when it says here, no.
Be soft.
Here we're soft. Here we speak like this. Then I do it.
Yes.
So I don't consciously go, I want to be seen as a woman. Therefore, I'm going to do... No.
Yes.
I go with my instinct, what my spirit tells me, because I know my ancestors. So when this one says we're doing this, I go for it. When the other one says we're going here, I do that. I won't allow people to dictate how I should exist because they see me as a female.
Sure.
I'm more than my gender. I'm so many things that have made me label.
In your own lived experience, does this changing between energies interfere in relationships?
Yes. I think it
because
does.
you've said that you know when to be soft.
Yes.
So if it does interfere, it means that then the perception of this hard and masculine label is the one that this person is going to grab onto and miss out on the feminine label who's present right now in the moment.
You know,
am I right or wrong?
I'm not sure because I think what we do is and let me say, I'm not a relationship expert.
Of course, yeah.
I'm just speaking from my own life experiences and my own friends and everyone who I've seen, is that when we start dating at a young age, we date our perceptions of people and not who people really are. And as you get older, you get to know yourself. Then you start to want to know other people.
Yes.
And then your judgment should, in my opinion, go away, but it should lessen because now you're going, I see the person, I'm not seeing my expectations, I'm just seeing what this person is showing me. You know, like if I call you, you don't respond, okay, this is what you do. It's not good or bad, it's just what you do. Do I like it? No, then I don't want to be here. It's cool. You're not a bad person, you're just not doing what I like. Cool. I'll move somewhere else where someone's doing what I like. It's not that deep, So for me, I feel that if I'm going to be with a man and he's going to think I'm masculine in my energy, it's because he hasn't taken time to know me. And if I feel that I always have to be her with you, it means that you're not providing a safe space for me to be feminine. Because for me, femininity is very precious and it needs a safe space to exist in. It needs a very secure environment. For me to be just a lady who allows you to take care of me, that's me being vulnerable. I can't just be vulnerable with anybody. That doesn't make any sense. I have to respect myself.
I hope the guys are listening out there because many of us now are crying about how we want feminine energy. But hey, guys, we must create the safe space for her to drop down her guard and allow you. I hear you.
Because you're not a regular guy. Because a regular guy would make me feel unsafe or whatever. So if you're special or different, then show me. You know, you need to be vulnerable first. And that vulnerability is in you creating a safe space for me. How do you do that? By being honest, by being open, by telling me what you're really experiencing, not holding things back. Because a lot of men hold things back.
Oh, yeah, we do.
You know, and that makes it hard for you to connect with a woman because you're not fully being yourself. So how can you fully expect me to be myself? if a man experiences me as fake, it's because he's also being fake.
Yeah.
Seriously,
Yeah,
I believe, and I'm here saying I'm Lebo Lion, whatever, but I believe that men are the natural leaders of relationships.
Sure.
So what a relationship evolves into is whatever a man allows it to become.
Wow, that's powerful.
I don't believe I can tell my man who to be. But I think that if he's vulnerable enough to create a safe space for me, he, in allowing me to be vulnerable, he'll allow me to take care of him. And in that, he'll be able to learn from me.
Yes.
Do you get what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
I get you perfectly.
So that's what I want from
Yeah,
a relationship.
yeah,
A man
yeah.
who's vulnerable, who allows me to be vulnerable so that
Yeah.
I can also help him in
Yes.
the ways that I can as a woman.
Yeah, yeah.
But I can't teach a man and be like, you should do this, you're failing in this. I don't believe in that.
Yeah,
You know, that's
yeah.
why women have to find men where they are.
Yes.
If you're not at this level, I can't say, oh, he's got potential, he's going to get
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
So I must take you for who you are today. Can I chill with that for 5 years? If I can, yes.
yeah, yeah.
If no, then I must go.
Next.
Instead of expecting you to be something you're not. The same with women. Men try to act like they must find a finished product in a woman.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, but if you're finding a finished product, then you're also finding somebody who's heavily experienced.
Yes.
Because she had to go and experience many parts of herself with
Yeah,
other people
yes, yes.
to become this finished product that you're looking for. And if that's what you're looking for, fine. Don't shame her for having had a life. Don't shame her for coming with certain things. I just think it's all very tricky. I'm
It
not
is.
an expert here.
Yeah.
All I know is before I see the gender, I see the person.
Sure.
And I think it's important to say, if I was dating me, how would I want to be treated?
Yeah.
And try to treat that person like a person, you
Get
know,
you.
like let a man cry because he's a person.
Yes, yes,
Life
yes,
is hard.
yes.
You know, let a woman be strong
Yeah.
because life is hard and you
Yeah.
also need to be strong.
Yeah.
You should be proud of a woman who can say, babe, I'm going to try get some bacon as well.
Yes.
I'm going to go try get it
Yeah,
because,
absolutely.
you know, like the economy, guys, it's not
Yeah,
that
yeah,
easy in this
yeah,
life.
yeah.
Do you
It's
really
tricky
want a
right now. It's
housewife who's
tricky.
just not going to bring in
No.
money? Nothing wrong with housewives, but I'm
Yeah.
just saying, if there's a woman who's in your life and she says, I can also bring some money,
Yeah.
don't shame her for that.
open
Like,
up,
open
open
it
up.
up, you know?
Yeah.
So for me, it's a see each other as people, treat each other the way you'd want to be treated, but also speak to each other.
Yeah.
Because when you speak to each other, you get to know the person and then you can decide, do I want this? Do I not want
Yeah.
this?
I am hearing a lot of young adults,
Mm-hmm.
our age group, saying they are tired of being in Bogotos.
Ah, of course.
Hey,
Who
they're
wants to be
tired
in
of being in
Bogotá? Ah,
Bogoto.
yeah,
They're
yeah,
tired
yeah.
of this. They want the soft life. What does that mean? Because I think as men, we don't understand what you are saying. I think we really don't. But, you know, help me open up one more layer in my understanding of what women are saying when they say,
Soft
"Hi, guys,
life.
I do not want this Bogoto life is not for me anymore."
Bogota life was never for us. It was never for us. I don't know who PR'd that thing and said to us, you must be in Bogotos.
Yes.
But people don't understand that in society and why marketers are so important
Yeah.
for society and
Yeah.
commerce and that kind of thing is because we are the ones who shape culture.
Yeah.
So when you see things like soft life being a thing that everyone around you is asking
Yeah.
for, it didn't just happen.
It's under
A
somewhere.
whole lot of things had to happen for it to be a real thing.
thing.
And for it to be something we're even talking about on podcast means somebody's commercializing that thing.
Yes,
Somebody's
yes, yes.
winning. Money's moving.
Yes.
Once marketing is involved,
Wow.
money's moving. Once we are PRing something,
Wow.
money's moving.
Sure.
And you have to ask yourself, why is the society moving in this way? Why are people putting money into this concept? Why are we moving in this way? Like BBLs are a thing.
Yeah.
Doctors, plastic surgeons are making so much money.
Sure.
And they more money than they ever made before. Why is this aesthetic becoming something that the IG algorithm, for example, is prioritizing?
You just added a slide on a talk of mine somewhere that is going to be entitled
Yes.
"Money is the marketing is the vehicle for money" or
Yes.
something like that.
we create
That's
the we
powerful.
create the runway for investment.
Yes.
Because corporates invest in culture because that's where people come together
Yeah, yeah.
and make things happen. So marketers are the ones who create the culture
Wow.
by understanding how society is moving and then saying, you guys are doing this. I'm going to brand it. I'm going to
Nice.
package it.
Nice.
And then we're going to make it something real.
Yes, yes, yes.
And once it becomes a lifestyle, that's when you know that marketing's done its job. Because people actually think they did it themselves. And then they make it a part of their lives. And that's when you know marketing's doing well. So anything, whether it is the toothpaste you're buying or the way you like to cook Sunday
Yeah.
lunch, all of that is marketing.
Sure.
It's not tradition.
Yeah.
Tradition comes from marketing.
Wow.
Even if you have to Google the history of breakfast, breakfast was never a thing. It wasn't like
Aibo.
human beings have to eat morning meals.
Aibo.
It came because they were trying to sell bacon and eggs. I think it was diners in America were trying to sell bacon and eggs. It wasn't popular in hotels.
Wow.
So hotels needed more of their guests to want to eat the bacon and eggs. I can't remember why. Please Google this thing. Then there was a guy, I forgot his name. He's a PR extraordinary in the 1960s, I think, or 50s, whatever. And he came up with the branding of PRing of breakfast.
The most important meal of the day.
And eating bacon and eggs for breakfast more than anything else. Because more people were eating porridge and cereal. So it was the thing of making breakfast and bacon and eggs the main foods that you would eat for breakfast. So it's not tradition. Tradition is the result of marketing, which creates the culture, and the culture becomes tradition because you do it so long and you pass it down to your children, and you think but it's all been manufactured by somebody. That's how powerful marketing is, right? And so to answer your question that you asked me about people wanting to live soft lives, people must understand that
women specifically,
women wanting. I think men want to live soft lives too. I've been seeing a lot of guys who are acting like slave queens. But that will be a conversation for another day.
Oh, wow.
Men want to be blessed, and you're just like, why? So if women and men want to live soft lives, you have to understand that it's an indication of where the powers that be want our society to go. Right? And as an individual, the power you have is in saying, I hear that this is a concept that's been given to us as our lifestyle now. But I can decide how I want that thing to be ingrained in my life. Because it's going to be. You're going to be two influences. If everyone around you is doing it, it's going to influence you. You're going to want to have a soft life at some point, even if you were never about soft life. So as an individual, you've got the power to say, how much of the soft life definition do I want to ingrain into my life? And then you design your life around that, because you don't want to be a victim to everything that marketing and pop culture show you. You also want to have a stand and say, this is who I am within this narrative. And the reason why so many people want the soft life, I think, these are my just predictions and my observations, is firstly because of the advent of social media. And the main reason why social media is such a powerful tool is because lots of businesses can move money through it, right? So people use it as a tool to move money. You pay for the advertising because you've got access to a community, and those people get influenced by what they see, right? So if you look at Instagram, for example, the algorithm is promoting soft life content.
It is.
The soft life aesthetic, whatever that may look like, fancy cars, they want to amplify consumerism. That's the reason why money can move, so products can move. We want to amplify consumerism. What does soft life look like? I bought a car. I went on holiday. I went to a restaurant.
It's not just random.
It's not random.
Come on.
You know?
Yeah,
it's not random.
come on.
It's all consumerism, because the real soft life is not having to worry about paying your bills.
Yeah.
Not having mental health issues.
Oh, man.
Having healthy relationships. That's real soft life.
That's soft, yeah.
Commercial
Peace
soft life.
in your house.
Peace in your household. You know, healthy kids, whatever you want, a good business. Soft life that we see online that everyone says, oh, Intata must pay me. That is all from the powers that be, the marketing that we have, pushing consumerism and saying to people, you need to buy. How to make people buy? We sell them the concept, the marketing of what we want society to look like. We want people in society to buy credit. You know, all of those things. That's what soft life is bringing out.
So nothing just happens.
Nothing just happens. There's no such thing. As a marketer, you know this.
Goodness.
Nothing in the world just happens. If sneakers are becoming popular, you must ask yourself why. If we're starting to eat like this, you must ask yourself why. You know, we know the politics of food industries. 1 minute sugar is the enemy, the next minute fat is the enemy, the next minute carbohydrates are the enemy. But then you watch where governments are spending their money, and corporates, they'll be spending their money in carbohydrates, and therefore they have to make sugar the enemy, because more people are eating sugar. Therefore we go to carbs, then they make their money. So nothing is ever by mistake. All these diets that you're seeing, it's not because you need to be healthy in this way. Health is a balanced thing. You eat meat, you eat carbs, you eat vegetables, you're fine. You don't have to eat xylitol or like you don't have to go that extreme. Health is still pretty accessible and it's pretty simple. But when we complicate things, then you must know this is marketing, it's commercialization. People are trying to move money through things, so they're funding different industries, and that's all it is. Soft life is the same thing. I would say, don't allow these things to overtake your life. It's good to want to experience life, right? I believe that the pros of the soft life content is that they're showing people that you can travel. You can actually create a life where you enjoy yourself. I don't think we've seen a lot of that, especially with black people. We don't get to see that black people travel, black people
Yes,
do this.
yes,
And
they
so
do.
it's good. We like that. However, I think there's also the other toxic part of it where people think soft life is financial exchanges between people, and it's devoid of relationship building. It's
yeah.
devoid of integrity.
Yeah.
It's devoid of self-growth.
Yeah.
You're not growing because your wardrobe is filling up with Gucci bags. That's not growth.
Across, yeah.
That's just hoarding. Like, you're just getting more stuff. Stuff doesn't make you grow. Experiences make you grow.
Oh, yes.
Relationships make you
Yes,
grow.
yes.
You doing things that are hard
Yes.
makes you grow. So for me, soft life is just be careful. You need to decide what you want it to be for
Sure.
yourself. But soft life for me is not my man must buy me a Gucci bag. That is just spoiling. It's nice
Yeah.
to be spoiled.
Yeah.
But it's not a prerequisite to having a healthy relationship with anyone or to being successful.
A lot to think about there.
Yeah.
Your book, Audacity.
Audacity.
Even Audacity as a title, I think it's a charge. It's a challenge that you're giving to women.
Yes.
It might sound so hard to a woman who's trying to penetrate some kind of field or start something new. Is it hard? Is it related to this masculine energy? That what are you telling women to do when you say be audacious in that book?
I'm telling them to have the courage to build the life of their dreams.
Courage.
I'm telling them to have the courage to go for what they want.
Right.
I'm telling them to have the courage to use their voices. We live in a society where women are not encouraged to do those things. If I were to sit here with you now and my content was about me being a wife to my husband, cooking him food, no one is going to fight me. But once I say, I'm going to talk about business and I want you to hear me, they go, no, but you're a woman, why would you? Even if people don't say it out loud, they think it.
Yeah.
You can tell by how they speak to you in boardrooms.
Wow.
How they undermine your opinion without even being aware of themselves that they do that. Sorry,
It's still a problem?
Sorry, it's still a thing.
Still a thing?
It hasn't changed that much.
Even with BEE and all of that.
Even with BEE.
And affirmative action. And
Even with all of those things,
Wow.
I think it's just now we have more rights to say, but you have to listen to me.
Okay.
But it's not that they genuinely want to listen to you. Even women don't want to listen to other women. So you find that if I'm going to be pitching, for example, to a group of women, I might find it actually harder because they might see me as a threat because I'm another woman and they feel like maybe the space can't have all of us in there.
Goodness.
So we have this scarcity mindset as women
Yeah.
that we can't all be in spaces.
Oh, yeah.
Only a few of us can. And actually, why? And then that's why we must have more qualifications. We must. No. I'm like, actually, no. We don't have to do any of that. You don't need a qualification. You don't have to prove by doing a million things. You don't have to be overly nice. You don't have to do anything. Just do what you are meant to do, and you should be able to win.
Get you.
And I'm not just writing books because I know in this day and age we can all write books. ChatGPT means that
Can
you
even
can
write
do
a book for
anything.
you.
You can write a book for you, exactly. So we have a lot of fake experts. We have a lot of fake thought leaders out there who leverage on the fact that information is already out there. So I'm just going to say what's already out there. But they haven't lived it. They don't know why they're doing this thing. They just know how to say it the way people need to hear it.
Yes.
Right? I'm not one of those people.
And when you're a real one, you can see through it.
Exactly. When
Yeah.
you're a real one, you can see through it. So I've been doing this for long.
Yeah,
you
man.
know,
Yeah.
Threads just came out. Instagram just came out with Threads. I was having a debate with somebody about Threads, and they were saying to me, "Oh, it's the future." I said,
Yeah.
"Listen, I was one of the first people in this country
Yeah.
to get paid for writing Threads on Twitter.
Yes.
Corporates didn't know people were doing this.
Yes.
When they approached me, I said, "Hey, you can pay me to write Threads."
Yes.
So I understand the origins of Threads. They didn't even know that Threads come from Twitter.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
but they're ready to jump on this thing and make
Threads
it seem
is a Twitter
revolutionary.
concept,
It's
yeah.
a Twitter concept. That's why Elon Musk is suing them,
Yeah.
because the Twitter concept, right? And Threads are actually commercially viable because of certain things. We know this because I made money from Threads. So yes, it is it's not just a thing that Mark Zuckerberg thought of and now he's
Yeah.
brilliant. And for me, it's just also a weird concept for Instagram, but it's fine. I know it's its own app. I've got
Yes.
it, but it doesn't make sense.
Sure.
For many reasons. That's not where I'm going with
Sure.
this. All I'm saying is that people don't understand that when we create things, they have to come from experience.
Okay.
So me creating Lebo Lion, even to this day, There's so many people who are intimidated by what I built
Yeah.
that they don't want to allow me into spaces.
Come on.
So I have to keep pivoting. I have to be creative. I have to find ways to get my foot in the door.
Goodness.
Because I'm not being allowed to just walk in, right? Or to just say, but I've done this. Here's the proof.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
qualify.
Yeah.
Why won't you let me in?
Yeah.
And they'll come up with excuses. We don't like your personality.
How?
You're not relatable to South
How?
African people. They've come up with the weirdest
How?
excuses. And I know it's got nothing to do with me. So for me to continue doing what I'm doing, I have to have audacity. There's no way I'd be able to continue because I get blocked from many things,
yes,
right?
yes.
And if you don't know yourself, you're going to think it's because of you. Then you're going to try to change yourself. Oh, maybe I need to be nicer. Maybe I need to do this. Maybe I need to wear this. It's like, no, you don't. There are people who are doing the bare minimum and they get allowed into so many rooms because they've got the right networks or whatever. But not all of us have that privilege. So yes, there are people like Lebo Lion who work from the ground up. They've earned everything. I've never posted a celebrity endorsing me. They don't.
Yes.
They don't. Even if I've had some of them as clients
Yes.
or whatever, I've had a very tricky life journey.
Sure.
So a lot of these people, they'll even know me, but they won't endorse me. You know, I don't have that life journey. I can cry about it or do something about it. So I decided to have the audacity about it and just keep going, finding other ways and working with what works for me.
Wow.
So for me, it's me saying to women, but guys, I've lived this thing.
Yep.
Now I'm giving you the gems, the tools that I used, and you can also have them too.
Sure.
And unlike other books, Audacity is not really a book. I call it a life guide,
All right.
a life guide for the
All right.
modern woman or person or anyone who identifies as female.
Sure.
To look through this thing and actually use it as a mentor, you know, a friend, a sister, a mother, whatever you needed, the information, the guidance you needed when you were at whatever stages you couldn't get, this book has that.
My goodness.
My background also, I have a very long life story. You know, it's tricky, but I never had female mentors and females who would guide me through life. My safety is not in women. A lot of my safety comes from the men in my life, like my dad. He's one of my bestest friends.
Yeah.
You know, so that's also, I'm not afraid of men because I'm so used to you guys. I'm chilled.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so even
Yeah.
the concept
Yeah.
of being sexy to a man, sorry, is weird for me because I'm like, no, we're all cool. You know, I don't see men in that way.
Sure.
I really don't.
Interesting.
It's taken me a long time to get to a place where I'm like, oh, they see me as a girl. Okay, I need
Now you
to,
gotta be
you know,
girly
I must be
and,
girly, but it's not my thing. So I've never found home in women.
Sure.
And that book is for other women who also might be struggling to do that or who actually just need extra
Yes.
motivation, extra guidance.
Yeah.
And you're supposed to be able to use it at any point in your life. It fits into a handbag. We designed it to fit into a handbag.
Yeah.
So you can take it with you wherever you go. And we also left spaces in the life guide. So you're supposed to be able to write your experience after reading whatever you read. So let's say the quote that I put there is about being able to confront somebody and have the hard conversation, right? Maybe you open that page and that day you want to ask your boss for a raise. So you read that part, then you go, okay, this is how I'm feeling. You write it down. We left space for people to write things down. You write it down, you go experience that thing, you come back, you finish the experience. And I wanted the book to be almost like an heirloom. So you pass it down to your daughter
Amazing.
or your cousin, your female
Amazing,
cousin or your
amazing.
sister. So they can go, oh, so when Lebo was going through this, she felt like this. Oh, I'm feeling that too. Okay, cool. Then it's, you know, we're almost sharing our experiences and passing them down to each other. And they're all being, you know, carefully curated and nurtured by the different lessons in the book.
get you.
So it's not a typical book. Even when I launched it at the State Theatre, they asked me to launch it because they bought a few copies.
Right.
They read it. And if anybody knows about the State Theatre, they have most of the, what would you call it? Not publishing, but literary academics.
Okay.
All those people who are very important, they're the ones who are on the board of the State Theatre.
Sure.
So they will read a book, then they assess it and vote on it, and then they decide if they're going to
going?
review, who's going to get a launch or not. They give you a launch, like they pay for the whole thing. So they contact you if they like what you've written. And I didn't think that people in that age group who come from a very traditional literary background
yes.
would find my book interesting because it's a book for the future. I wrote it for people with short attention spans, you know, that kind of thing, the digital citizen. That's who the book is ready for.
Sure.
And they loved it. And these are like women who are 60 years old,
Yeah.
you know, and they literally came to me and said to me, this is revolutionary. Like when people get to understand this thing, you will see how it's actually changing the
Sure.
game and literature,
Sure.
right?
I get you.
So it's just, there was a lot of validation with the book in terms of the way I designed it intentionally. It's intentionally designed like that. I understand what I tried to do with that book. And even the women who've contacted me, who've read it, they're like, oh my God, like this thing has saved my life. I wanted to commit suicide, but now I'm ready. I'm starting my business. Or I was ready to give up, but
man.
now we're going, you know? Or life was okay, but now I'm actually appreciating what I have. So I'm really grateful and I'm happier. All these things from the book.
Yeah, congratulations on that.
Thank
well
you.
Done. You are a person who lives in the future. With everything that you're doing, you live in the future.
Yeah.
You did podcasting when it didn't make sense, when it was not fashionable.
Yes.
Now it's very fashionable.
Yeah.
You're writing a book now, like you said, that is for the future.
It's for the future.
At which point do you encounter loneliness?
Loneliness.
And,
Oh, Jess.
and how do you define that, and how do you break out of that? Because if you are a pioneer, if you have to chart your own way consistently fighting to be recognized and respected in rooms and doing this and all of that you've described, I know personally that it can be a lonely journey, and people can hear that as some kind of pity thing, or it's pathetic. No. Really, if you are living in a space where you are not making sense yet,
Yeah.
you're definitely going to experience loneliness. What is that for you?
You know, that's a very good question.
Yeah.
No one's ever asked me that question. So kudos to you.
Yes, well, I'm glad you're here for that.
Loneliness.
Yeah.
I think loneliness comes with maturity as well. So what I mean by that is, I used to think loneliness when I was younger. I'm 32 now, so some people are like, but you're still a baby. Some people are like, okay, you're older. I don't know, it depends on, I've lived.
I'm 37. I feel I'm living a second life. Like I've got two
Right?
lifetimes
Exactly.
that I've gone through.
Exactly. So when I started, I used to feel lonely.
Sure.
Right? But my definition of loneliness was not getting validation from other people,
Okay.
not having people around me. And then as I got older and I really zeroed in on what I'm supposed to be doing,
Yeah.
I learned, at least for myself, that loneliness is not having an understanding of self and not having a belief of what you're understanding.
I'm hearing you.
And I think that's where a lot of entrepreneurs and game changers find it tricky.
Yes.
Believing in what they understand
Yes.
of themselves,
Yes.
because nobody else is validating
Sure.
it. And so maturity plays a part in saying to you, you need to have the self-assuredness, the confidence to believe in what you see.
Come on.
And the less you question what you see,
Yeah.
the less lonely you're going to be.
All right.
Because you're already putting yourself in the rooms
Sure.
where people are understanding.
Yeah, yeah.
You get what I'm saying? You're already living there.
Yes.
You're there.
Yes.
So because you're there, it doesn't matter, man. You know, like
Yeah.
it just stops mattering. Then you stop feeling lonely and you start to feel irritated and frustrated by having to be around people who don't get you. Then you're like, actually, no, I don't want to be here. You guys don't get me. This is slow. I want to go where something is, fueling me and making me excited about the world. So I've stopped being lonely because now I just understand that when I'm around people who don't get me, they don't get me. And I'm not where they are. And that's fine. And it's going to bore me and frustrate me.
Yes.
I don't want to engage with them. Honestly, we're not on the same level.
Sure.
I want to go with people on my level. And if I can't find them, I'll be alone until I find the people, right? And with social media, what's so wonderful is now you can connect with people around the world.
Yeah.
So I find that most of the conversations I have are with people in the States or the UK, like we've connected now. So when I have ideas to share, hey, Tammy, whoever,
what's up?
and we just chat
yeah.
and life is good.
Sure.
So we need to unshackle our minds from what we think connection is, and we need to start truly connecting with ourselves and with others in a real way.
That's great. Yeah.
And in doing that, you also have to say, but these are not my people. And be okay with leaving them instead of holding on to them like they matter. People who don't see you will never validate you.
Come on.
People who don't see you will never validate you, because what are they validating? They don't know either.
Sure.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Sure.
It's not malicious. They don't see you.
Sure.
So get away from those people because they're going to make you lose sight of your calling and your path.
I get you.
So I don't get that lonely anymore, to be honest with you. I do get very irritated and bored because I feel like I have to tolerate rooms that are not for me.
Yes.
And sometimes I just have to, because the client put me with these people, I have to do it.
Yes.
But on a regular basis, no, I don't feel lonely. And I love my own company because I
beautiful.
get to sit with my thoughts.
Yes, I've grown to love my
It's
own company
nice.
as well.
It's very nice.
Hey, it's peaceful.
You're such a great person.
Yes.
As a person, you're so great. Why
Yes.
can't you enjoy
Yes,
yourself?
yes,
I go out by myself. I enjoy myself.
Yeah.
And that's helped me not become lonely.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. When you think of the NGO space, spirituality space, there are many brands as well
Yeah.
that are coming up and all of that. And I know sometimes occupational hazard is that we see through the lens of branding and marketing, so we don't miss these things ever.
You don't ever.
Ever. Like when I'm driving, I don't miss a single sign.
Yeah.
I don't miss a single color logo.
You see
I don't. I
everything.
see everything. It's so irritating
Yeah,
sometimes.
it's annoying sometimes.
And I'm like, I'll be with someone and say, hey, did you see that billboard?
Yeah.
Like, what billboard? Anyway, what advice can you give those who are building brands in the faith space, NGO space, volunteerism space, social responsibility and all of that kind of space? Because those are a big part of our audience as well.
Ooh, that's a tricky one because spaces that purport to help people
Yes, that's the word.
and
Yeah, I like that purport. It's not always the case.
yeah, no, it's not. There's a lot of pretense that happens in those spaces.
Yes.
So the problem with the pretense is that you either need a really big budget to fund the pretense forever, because now you're building this brand based on a lie, or at some point people are going to find out that you're lying, and then you're going to be in trouble. Either you're going to lose this brand, or you're going to have to change it because it was lying, like Maria Sharapova and using all the drugs she was using. Now she's no longer the legend she was, because it means something. She represented hope to people. She represented athleticism at its highest level. And then she comes and it's actually, no, it wasn't you. It was drugs. Same with these spaces where you're giving back to people, you're helping them spiritually, whatever. You are touching people at a place in their lives that is very sacred. Right? It's not the same as regular business. So if you're going to brand yourself in that space of all the kinds of industries, in this industry, this is where you need to be the most authentic.
Come on.
Authenticity is key.
Okay.
What is authenticity? Being honest. Showing things in a way that's true to what you're trying to achieve. That's authenticity. It is not saying everything, because this is still business, right? So in business, we don't tell the world everything. You tell them what they need to hear, but make sure that what they don't need to hear isn't something that will incriminate you. Do you get what I'm saying? It's just be careful and mindful of what you're showing, but make sure it's authentic to what you're trying to build. I think that when you are building a brand in these kinds of spaces, it is really about the people. So community matters, right? What I've been seeing in the spaces, even though they're not my type of spaces, there's a war on how many people we have. So people will say, this pastor's amazing or whoever's amazing because they've got this
Based on
congregation.
numbers.
Yeah, the numbers. Like,
People
what?
look at the church parking lot on a Sunday
Exactly.
and they start making conclusions.
Imagine.
Whereas that parking lot means nothing.
It means
Yeah,
nothing.
it
And
means
remember,
nothing.
I don't even go to church,
Yeah.
but I know this happens.
Yes.
I can see, because I'm a marketer. I can see just from
course.
two little things. I'm like, this is what you guys are doing in these spaces, So the pastors are coming up on social media, and you can see that a lot of the content is being created because they want to create numbers.
Yes.
Not because there's really something to share.
Our services are curated, man.
The services are curated,
Yeah.
but in a way that doesn't make sense, because obviously the pastor has to plan.
Yeah,
Da, da, da.
yeah.
But now, as a person who doesn't go to church, I know I can go to TikTok on a Sunday and there'll be a pastor who's either dancing to a piano song, they're talking about blessings, or your man must buy you hair. I've seen this stuff online. Like I see it all the time, and it's usually African pastors and stuff. So I'm like, is this because they want to be clickbait online? Do they want their videos to become viral because that's what people want? Or what is the purpose of having a
desperation for
conversation in this way?
relevance.
Is it? The question becomes, is it ready? Because now this is where the tricky part is. Relevance is, are you saying something or giving something that is relevant or that matters to the people who you are serving, right? So that is relevance, mattering to the people who you serve.
Come on.
So a pastor can easily say, but my congregation now, they are buying hair. They are dancing to Amapiano. So a modern pastor should be doing that stuff, right? They can say that. And honestly, there's a lot of truth in that, right?
perhaps.
So the problem becomes, where do we draw the line between maintaining the fundamentals of this institution we've built, because those fundamentals are the bedrock of how things should actually be, and then making it relevant to the times, right? What I see is that too many people are chasing clickbait, so the fundamentals are gone. There needs to be substance in the clickbait. Like, talk about the weaves, but make sure you bring it down to substance, scripture, properly. You know, are you behaving as a pastor the way you expect your congregation to behave? And that will be shown in your clickbait. What I find, guys, I'm a marketer and I build personal brands as well. CEOs come to me, very powerful people come to me. And I can tell the character of a person by how desperate they are to be popular.
My goodness.
Right? That's where clickbait comes in. So, yes, it's good to be relevant. You can speak about the weaves and whatever. But there's a way that a person who's desperate to be seen will talk about it. That a person who's not desperate to be seen will talk about it. There are people who want to be relevant, but they're not desperate to be seen. And anybody who's desperate to be seen usually isn't doing things the right way in what they're doing anyway. So apart from them trying to be desperate, they're probably stealing money. They're probably doing, I swear, the character always checks the boxes. You can never be somebody with that full integrity and do that. You won't. People just don't do that. Beyonce's an amazing artist. There's certain things she's just not going to do. You know, there's certain things she's going to do. There's certain things she won't do. But there are people who will do anything. And those are the people who are dangerous. I find that in these spaces, we're seeing a lot more of those characters coming up. I don't even know these people. I just see one or two videos. I'm like, Ona is lying.
Another one.
This one is lying. I can tell. I know the average person can't, but for me, I can tell. I can say, this one wants to be popular. They want more tithes. They want this. Or this charity wants to have more brands working with them, but they're not going to put more money into the kids they're feeding or whatever. So I'd say be authentic. Don't lie to people. Don't chase so much relevance that you stray from the actual core of what you do. I think that's important. Then I'd also say, you know, there's different kinds of content online, right? And all of it will be consumed based on how much it feeds the person who's watching it. Religious content where you're giving back to people, content where you're speaking to people about their mindsets and whatever, it's actually really popular content and it's in high demand. People are searching for it, right? So what I'm saying by this is, what matters is how you're going to curate your message. More than you being concerned about the numbers or trending. Trending doesn't mean that what you're giving people is valuable. It means that you've entertained them for a moment in time, or you've shocked them for a moment in time, so they're talking about you today. But it doesn't mean anything for tomorrow or 10 years from now. It's just now, the moment. That's trending. You want to have value, which is a long-term thing. So share the right kind of content, right? Like, give people scriptures that help them move through a tough economy. Give people, lessons that help them move through relationships. In the church, you can do that. In NGOs where they are feeding children, why not have educational content for kids? Make it relevant to your people in a way that's healthy, that fits the clean brand.
Add true value.
You have a clean brand, keep it clean. You don't have to dance. You don't have to be like these pop culture people. Don't just do what's being done on social media because it looks like it's working. There are lots of people who are winning online who are not doing what the popular people are doing. And people must remember that if you're trying to monetize online, the less ubiquitous or the less easy to access whatever you're doing is, the more you can make from it because it's rare to find. Right? So if your niche is rare, then you're going to make more money because people know that you're one of the only people giving that thing. But if you're like everybody else, you're playing for a smaller pool of money because there's so many of you going for the same checks. So you don't want to be part of the 5 million going for that check. You want to be part of the 10 going for 3 million. You get what I'm trying to say? So if you are, as a brand in this community, trying to make money online as well, because you can, to put money into what you're doing, then give people real valuable content that they can't find anywhere else. That way you are bidding for a bigger pool of money with less competition than if you were doing what everybody's doing. Now you're jumping through noise. You have to jump through 11 million pastors. You know, but if you're in your own niche, maybe you're jumping through 100,000
Yeah.
pastors. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Or
Yeah.
100,000 NGOs instead of the 10 million that
Yeah, I
exists.
get you.
So try to differentiate yourself. Don't try to be like other people.
mm.
The differentiation will determine how much money you make, how quickly you make that money,
amazing.
and how easy it will be for you. You know,
Sure.
so don't sleep on being authentic
Sure.
and true to your core.
Awesome. I've taken too much of your time. Thank you so much.
Not at all. I've enjoyed myself. I've enjoyed myself.
As we close it off, we are in Women's Month.
Oh yeah, can.
Yeah. We've spoken about your book and your message to women. Is there anything
Yeah.
else you want to say to our modern day women about anyone who wants to really add value to society
Yeah.
in public service, in entrepreneurship, in whatever space? What are your parting shots to women?
That's a hard one because I have so
Yeah,
many.
of
right?
course, of
But
course.
I think for me, what I'm observing, the older I get now, becoming more of a mentor type figure
Yeah.
to people is what I want to say to young girls who are living through the soft life era, blesser
yeah,
culture,
yeah.
all these crazy things is
Yeah.
no one is going to save you. No one is going to save you but yourself,
yes.
right? You can get a man who gives you the nicest life, whatever, but he's never going to help you build the life of your dreams where
Yeah.
you are fully in charge of
Right,
yourself.
right.
Not because he's a bad person or whatever. It's just not his job. It's your
first
job
of all.
to take care of yourself. It's not his job. So he's not going to do it. He'll take care of you the way he knows how.
Yeah.
He'll giving you money or a house or
Yeah,
whatever. He'll
yeah.
do what he can.
Yeah.
But no one can give you the life you deserve except for yourself.
Come on.
So you need to, as a woman, whether you find resources by having a blesser
Yeah.
or a husband or whatever the case may be, use those resources to build the life of your dreams.
Okay.
But don't think that those resources are going to build you the life of your dreams. You still have to intentionally say, I want to build a life for myself. No one can save you. You need to make sure that in every single space that you're in, you take what you need to get out of it
Awesome.
so you can build things for yourself. If you don't have your own things, you don't have a voice. You don't have power in this
Yes,
world. And we need to have power as women. Doesn't matter whether we're fighting or we're not as women, whether we get along or not. I just wish for every woman in the world to have the ability to make her own decisions
Yes.
with her own money,
Yes.
do her own things in her own
Come
time.
on.
Save yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. When people want to get hold of you, they want to work with you.
Yes.
They want to have your help.
Yeah.
In terms of building their brands, they want to access your book. Where do they go?
They go and find me on all social media platforms.
Yes.
At Lebo Lion _SA, LEBOLION _SA. And you can also go to my website, www.lebolion.com. And my book is sold on www.audacitythebook.com.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Do you respond to DMs?
Hey, this DM situation is tricky. I don't like DMs. I prefer
Yeah.
emails.
All right.
It's
all
yeah.
right. That's sure. So email her. The details should be on there. We'll put them on the screen as well.
Yes.
Thank you so much for your vulnerability. Thank you for your generosity in this time.
Yeah.
This has been huge for me. Thank you so much.
Oh no, thank you for having me.
Yes.
I'm enjoying the Unchristian podcast.
Awesome.
And I like how you are challenging the status quo, you know, in a way that's responsible.
Yeah.
So thank you
Thank
for
you.
that. I'm enjoying the conversation.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. All right, guys. Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you for giving us time in your day. Please subscribe. Please like. Please share. Do all the very nice things that you're supposed to do. And let's grow as a community. For myself, Miss Lebo Lion, it's been a good one. Thank you. Goodbye. All right.